Hello and welcome to Tech Town,
Season
3, episode
12.
12.
Yeah,
Season 3, episode 12 of Tech Town, where you go to learn about all things tech. I'm Mr. Ellsberg. I'm here with the Town Wizard. And to kick off today's show, we are going to attempt to try said test beer.
Test beer. So this is test beer, not for sale. I was handed this test beer, not given any explanation.
Nope.
I don't know what they're testing. It seems official, but we'll have to see.
Yes.
Cheers.
Jump right in.
Wow.
So what? How would you explain this?
It tastes like Skittles beer.
Skittles. So you're tasting the rainbow.
It's like lime, orange lime,
citrus
Skittle beer,
citrus, like a strong citrus. Yeah, almost sour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
This is what, like goji berry beer or something? I don't even know what this would be.
Oh, so there you have it.
It's got to be like Four Loko or something, right? Like
that's not legal anymore.
Caffeine beer or something. Oh, anyway, so
that's
this is great. All right.
Test beer.
Wonderful tradition. We'll see if I can finish it.
Okay. Well, boom. This brings us right to our subject of the day, which is a subject that's something that's happening right now in the news, all over the place, in the tech world. All eyes are on Apple, the company, versus the United States of America in the form of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI.
Yes, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So we've got this kind of battle that's going on with Apple versus the FBI. And there's a lot of stuff to it. So we're going to break it down. We're going to kind of understand what the deal is, who's kind of right and who's wrong. But the most important thing is that it's not so simple. It's not like Apple's totally right or the FBI is totally right or wrong or whatever. It's complex. So we're gonna get into it.
So backing up, so why are these two giant forces of one of consumer, capitalism and one of the government, why are they battling each other? What happened? What is the impetus which created this conflict?
Right. So Apple has become a company for people's privacy.
Okay.
So they've done some things with their phones and their computers to help with privacy. For example, encryption.
Right.
So these phones, all iPhones that are, I think, iOS 8 and beyond, are encrypted. And so you only can decrypt them by putting in the password or the thumbprint now. And otherwise, everything's encrypted. Now, even that is complicated of whether it can be hacked or not. But let's just say, okay, so they added some things to help make your stuff private.
Right.
Now, the FBI and the government has needs to investigate for terrorism and for crime. And
there is one case in particular that this happened for, and it happened down in San Bernardino.
That's right.
The terrorist case.
Right.
Two people went and murdered a bunch of people in a public setting.
Yeah, it was a government office too. They were working in a government clinic or whatever it was. And
so the government wants to seize the phone and get information to see if they were getting, information from somebody else to tell them to do this.
So these terrorists were employees of this place, and so these phones were. It's kind of like, in a way, the most clear case it could be, because the phones were actually government issued phones. It was or government paid for phones. So there's like the minimal amount of barrier possible between the government having a case and saying this is a phone from a terrorist.
Right.
The terrorist actually died, but the phone's still there, and they want to see if there's any other information.
Right.
And so they basically have a search warrant.
Right.
That's kind of a big topic we'll get into. But they have this need and this warrant to get into this phone. But since Apple added these features to these iPhones, it's not so simple. You can't just get into the phone, and you can't even just ask Apple to just get in the phone.
Right.
There's some technical things that have to be done. And in some ways, any technical stuff that you do to make it easier to get in for the government makes it easier for anybody, including hackers or other people, to get in.
Right.
So it starts getting complicated because the government just says, hey, we know who this person is. We have the warrant. We just want to get into this one phone. And Apple's point of view is now saying, well,
Not so fast.
Not so fast, right? You could get into this one phone, but really what you're going to get is you're going to be able to get into a lot of phones. So this isn't just about this one thing. As much as the FBI kind of keeps saying it's just this one phone, it may not be.
Right.
And then on the other hand, Apple is saying this isn't our job to totally write new software, even if it's not hacking kind of software.
Right.
Just totally have a part of their company becoming someone does this for the FBI.
Right.
The FBI is just going to come to them more and more and say, okay, well, we have another phone.
Right.
And maybe it's a less clear situation.
Right.
This is kind of a clear situation. Maybe the next time won't be so clear. And not only that, it's already been happening. And there's already phones in line to be opened up by, or asked to be opened up by Apple.
Right.
Okay, so a couple of the...
So that's what's happening.
That's the background, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what should happen, or who's right? Well, okay, we're going to start with a couple of the big ideas here. My thought is privacy is the most important.
Right.
So even regardless of what Apple can or can't do, I kind of think it's important that those phones can stay encrypted and not be opened by the FBI in most cases. So like that's the point that we need to start with. Not that the government could just kind of willy-nilly be getting stuff, because since we learned from Snowden, the government kind of willy-nilly gets stuff.
Right.
This has to be looked at by the eye of let's start with privacy first,
right,
and do everything we can, and then if we have to do a couple things, we'll do a couple things. So that's kind of where we stand. And you know, the FBI is not necessarily going against that. They're trying to say we want privacy, but we just want this one way. So anyway, the idea is sound. That we want privacy and only make a couple exceptions. Right.
And so, and what the town was referring to, Edward Snowden, that we've talked about before, who showed through multiple data files is that the government was spying on U.S. citizens as well as international groups and people.
Yeah, and just pushing boundaries and doing whatever they kind of wanted, just to, you know, and it was for the sake of doing good for us Americans, but still just doing whatever they wanted.
Under the auspice that was what they were doing.
Right.
Right.
So the thing is, we definitely have to be very careful about all this. Another big point is whatever Apple does, if they do what the FBI wants, any of that makes this security weaker makes the security weaker for all of us.
Right.
So if your position is we want to make America and the world safer, you'd think you'd want to get into that phone to stop that terrorist. But no, that's actually just like one case in many where in general, hackers may get a hold of whatever Apple is able to do, and then bad guys could compromise security on all the iPhones, not just the one iPhone.
Right.
So you got to be careful of what exactly Apple does for the FBI, because if they do anything, then imagine anybody could do that. It's not that simple, but just imagine it that way. I think that's a better way to look at it. So okay, so what is the FBI actually asking? What are they asking Apple to do? Because it's encrypted, so it's important to remember. Are they asking Apple to break encryption, meaning like have a backdoor? You kind of hear this word backdoor. It's important to realize no. This encryption is unbreakable, theoretically. We'll talk to the NSA later about that. NSA is different. It's funny. The NSA is, I think, just looking at the FBI and laughing and like, dude, the NSA doesn't agree with the FBI. They don't think the FBI should be able to do this because they understand encryption and not just encryption, but what we're talking about. So, but the bottom line, backdoors, right? It's not a backdoor. It's not being able to just like put in the secret code and get access to everybody's stuff. No. The first thing they asked Apple to be able to do was change the operating system on the phone so that it didn't lock you out after you tried passcode attempts. Meaning, when you try a passcode, you know, let someone say the phone is locked with a password or the passcode, which could be the digit one. Right. And so you try it like
it'll give you a certain amount of attempts
3 times or 10 times, then they lock it. Yeah. And not only that, in between attempts, it makes you wait. Right. So you'd think you could write some program or something to guess every single password, but there's these security measures in place to not let you do that. Right. Well, the FBI is asking Apple to cut those out, so the FBI can write a program to try every single password number and try and see if it's called brute force. Try every single combination, and then see if they can get it in. Okay. Okay, so interesting. Number one, Apple would have to take off these security measures. So again, it could be done again. But even if they do, it's up to the FBI to then even guess the password right.
Right.
That's still not easy to do, but they can theoretically do it with a 6-digit code. But there's also a way to add a longer password, not just the code. You can get into the settings in the iPhone and say, I want a password or a passphrase that's more than that.
So you can soup it up. You can make it even longer.
Which mine is right now.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if that's the case, they may not even be able to brute force it, meaning they may not even be able to guess all the guesses within a million years. So, okay, that's one thing they're asking to do. Probably either won't work or isn't good.
Right.
And
I like how it's called brute force, by the way.
Oh, yeah, brute force.
Brute
force.
Brute force is just trying all the things.
And sometimes you can be a little better and guess smarter the first couple guesses.
Right. Well, I mean, I win the lottery every week because I know exactly the numbers that are going to come out.
Wow, we got to do a Tech Town on that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's my first dog's birthday. And then
Don't give away your secrets.
Oh, well, I mean.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's different every week, so I mean, it changes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, this is a rotation.
Okay. Okay. So let's say even that they wanted a different way too. There's other ways to get in that are even easier. Let's say for the FBI in the end than having to guess all these passwords. Apple could basically write a change to the operating system. You can imagine they could just make it an update. So the phone updates to this new version, and that new version is special version, take away all the security. So they could do that if they were asked to. So bottom line is there are ways, and the FBI is asking for it, there are ways for Apple to do certain things as like an update. So it's not, you're not breaking the encryption, you're not cracking the codes, it's that Apple just kind of makes a way in.
Right.
Now, even if that's the case, a couple interesting things in this whole mess. Number one, they could have done it another way.
Okay.
The FBI could have already gotten Apple to give them this information a whole different way because of iCloud, probably. So iCloud is Apple's other service that backs up all your information. Backs up your emails, your photos, all this stuff.
And we've talked about the cloud.
This is Apple's cloud, a slice of the cloud. iPhones usually would, it depends on your settings, but would connect to the iCloud and save your stuff. So most of the things they want on the phone probably were backed up to the iCloud, which Apple does have access to.
Okay.
So Apple has a copy of the secret keys. Apple does pretty good security, so your stuff is secure, but Apple does have a copy of the keys to your iCloud, and to everybody's. So they could, if they were asked, get the information that way.
Right.
But the FBI, once they got in there, they accidentally changed the password. They reset the password, and that locks out the account. So they can't get into the iCloud thing.
Oh.
So the FBI would have had a way, but they messed it up.
Who got in there working for the FBI?
Not technology people.
Right.
So
did they know? They got all excited and they started pressing buttons.
I know, right? They got this terrorist phone. They want to try and hack it by pressing things. Okay, so and the last kind of icing on the cake here. Who knows if anything on this phone is actually useful? Right. They kind of have. They know what they know. They don't really think there was anything stored. I don't think this was his personal cell phone. It was a work phone, so probably nothing was done on it that was part of the terrorist thing. So after all this, we may not even get anything to be useful. Right. But this is a great example case. So I'm actually in a way really glad that this happened in this way, because it's horrible, the terrorist act that happened. But since that was sort of done, and now we sort of know what happened, it's not like we're in an emergency moment. Right. When we're in an emergency moment, these organizations, the government, don't think as clearly. Right. Yeah. You don't think long term. Right. Or if it was a private phone versus a government phone, they would have said, well, it's a private phone, so you're not allowed to really even have access. But no, it's kind of a plain and simple idea for a case. It's just complicated in the intricacies. But what's great is that from this, we will make a decision that's hopefully more level-headed. Right. And the real important thing here is that this case and what happens through this process is going to set the precedent. And if we get hasty here, and if something just happens in court, and then we just kind of go off of that, and every judge goes off of that, then we wouldn't have had time to really figure things out. It would have been based on this one case and this one judge and these courts, whereas really that should be left to Congress. Right. Congress is the one that theoretically thinks about things and makes laws in the nation's best interest and sets this precedent for real, in a real written fashion, thought about, all things considered. Now, our Congress, I'm not so sure because they don't get it. So
and a bunch of techies in there, huh?
Right. I mean, it's Tweedledee or Tweedledum who's making the rules here.
Right.
But,
not a lot of tech townies.
No. So Tech Town for president. Yeah. So really, yeah, what we need
Congress.
is we need really technology smart people to make laws about this through Congress, so that then these court cases aren't just sort of having to decide; they have something to go off of. And my stance is mostly on Apple's side, mostly on the side of privacy, but don't totally knock the FBI because they're trying to help us. They're trying to solve terrorism. So, let's give them the search warrant capabilities that they need. But the personal phone is just different. Some people make analogies to like a safe in your house. Well, even the FBI can crack a safe in your house and get the stuff out if they have the warrant. Right. Well, we're just kind of deciding the phone is different, I think. Right. I think it should be decided that. I mean, you could say, no, it's not different. They should be able to get in no matter what. Since our entire lives are being stored on this thing, it's different than a safe. Right. So I think we actually have to think about that. Way beyond. Yeah, and make different rules. Right. But we'll see what happens. And this has been the full security segment of the week.
Oh, so that's we talked all about the Apple, and then we had the test beer.
And the test beer, which I will try one more time. It's MXTLH. The MXTLH. It's brewed and bottled by Anheuser-Busch. Theoretically, this is reputable beer.
Well, that could be argued as well. Yeah. Well, there you have it. And finally, here at Tech Town, we recorded a Tech Town this last week, but we are in the midst of our own Tech Town verse battle right now, and it's between us and Google, the YouTube.
Yeah, it's true. We've been trying to get out multiple YouTube videos of Tech Town to you, and they've gotten taken down for an unknown reason.
Yeah, and so we are trying to fight the good fight and get those up. But I mean, the last one that they took down after 3 minutes of us recording.
Yeah. So first, we'll try to stay positive and say, Google, tell us what happened and fix it.
YouTube, Alphabet, whatever you guys are.
Right. We'll keep going. But if we can't figure out why you're shutting down our videos, our educational tech videos, then we may have to move to a different platform.
Taking our talents to South Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so get it together, and we will hopefully be on the same YouTube channel next time.
Yep. All right, guys. See you later, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.